What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show.
We gotta switch these. It's gonna make
Welcome
it crazy.
to Monday.
Welcome.
Action movie anatomy. Action.
Boom! Live here from the PTN Studios in North Hollywood.
Bucketfuls of pop culture.
Pop culture by the bucket.
That's the one.
And movies.
Yes. Why is our screen so tiny?
I wasn't sure. I hope that's what people see at home, and we're just like this very small box.
Nah, it looks like that's correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Hello, hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the show. I know that we're here to talk about Jonathan Wick, but I do want to have a quick tangential conversation about Succession without maybe having spoilers. I know it's hard to do without spoilers, but I know that the thousands of viewers watching would be upset if we spoiled it for them, maybe without even some sort of warning. So this is maybe a forewarning of a conversation to maybe leading to maybe if we were even to have spoilers. But as of right now, it would be a tangential, non-spoiler.
I think we will try. We will intentionally try to not spoil because it's less than 24 hours. But I think we can talk around it.
Is it less than 24 hours? I thought it came out on Sundays. Sundays at 6. What if we waited 50 minutes?
And then it'll have been 24 hours.
It'll be 24 hours. Yeah, I didn't realize that it is... Is it coming out at 6 our time? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. It's such a good show.
It's a very good show. Hello, welcome to the show. This is Ben. I am Andrew. This is Action Movie Anatomy. And we're going to talk about John Wick. Should we shout out some founders? Sponsors?
John Wick.
John Wick. Initial thoughts? Very good.
Very good.
Big fan. Very long.
What's the Succession last week when Greg's talking to her? Initial read? Great. Everyone liked it.
Arms? Maybe not television ready. Here's the focus group, right?
So funny.
If this focus group doesn't exist, I'm going to peel you like human string cheese or tear you apart.
It's so good. So that's not it.
Well, yeah.
You
got it.
No.
On the right. To the right. Right there. Boom. Landed.
We want to thank the founding sponsors of this show, the group of you that were here when this launched many moons ago, and our 5-star generals at time of launch: Paul Denuzio, John Getz, Jake Yakoveta, Mac Ryan, Lucas and Alex Shashek, and AJ Lanecast. Big time salute to you guys.
Salute. Just say the deacons. We should do it.
The deacons.
That's pretty sweet.
The deacons.
It sounds horrifying.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
It's their own call sign.
Call sign Kluber, Liam Gilpin, Luke Marshall Haynes, Andrew Hayes, Danny Joyce, Kelsey Kirkland, Sadi Laman Maki, Jeremiah Morris, John Patterson, Eric Ritz, Oscar Romo, and Cody Seal. Thank you guys so much for being here at the launch.
Are the deacons in the skulls also, or am I mixing two things up?
Ooh, look at that. Little Joshua Jackson, Paul Walker action.
Don't tell me you didn't love that film.
I like the sequel more.
Skulls 2 is very good.
It's a film that exists.
It does exist. All right, what do we got here? Who we got here in the chat? Sup, DT? Sup, Ed? Sup, DT? Hey, Kelly, K Wolf, big time salute to all you guys. Salamoni, what's going on? Cole,
Harold.
Hey, it's Alex Shashek. We were just talking about you. Haven't thought of that movie in years. It's better than people give it credit for.
When Andrew says that.
When I say that about a thriller, I'm always right. I'm always right.
We should launch a new podcast, and it's just dedicated to only subpar thrillers. It's like, in fact, it should only be thrillers that were made from like 1990 to 2004. That should be like we should. Every single thriller.
I could do a Drew McQueenie level catalog on that.
I could as well. Like we've already talked about like some of our favorites, the Double Jeopardies of the world. Ever watched High Crimes before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Jim Caviezel action.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a good one.
The problem is they all blend together and all their names are really forgettable except for Double Jeopardy.
And Kiss the Girls.
And The Hunted.
And Along Came a Spider.
I mean, there's so many. We could just keep going. Okay, but first, what do we what is this? Fan theories for what? I need to know y'all's fan theories. Is it our fan theories for Succession and how it ends? I was literally singing y'all's praises regarding the best and the worst the other day. Oh, I did love that show, and also I love AMA. I was ill last week. It was also my birthday last week. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since we've done a show.
We missed last week's show, right?
Because I was out of town for my birthday.
Yeah.
But I was like recovering still from the week before when I was in Boston. Fan theories for Picard. I have not seen any Picard. For JW. What's JW?
John Wick. For what's going to happen.
Oh, maybe. That. Yes. Yeah. Sure. I'm very curious about that as well, because haven't they already talked about making more of them, or saying that they could make them forever, but they haven't confirmed making any more?
Well, there's two things. There's the spin-off, the ballerina, and I thought there was a show called The Continental that was a spin-off show coming at some point.
Yeah.
And then which, rest in peace, Lance Reddick. And then also there is the fact that this was supposed to be 2 movies, I'm pretty sure. 4 and 5 were supposed to be shot back to back and come out. And I think I can't remember who said it, but somebody was saying that it seems sort of like fairly obvious that this is 2 movies, like 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of clearly see when watching this that it feels like they filmed 2 movies and combined them into one. So maybe they didn't have time or COVID or whatever.
You're talking about what we watched?
What we watched.
2 movies combined into one?
Because they're not releasing a 5th film now, and so they were supposed to film 2 of them.
What it was. Okay, that's what I was like confused about, because I clearly have done so much research on it.
And this was so long, and there was like, because the whole first plot line, and then it goes to the second plot line.
Yeah, I mean, when you leaned over to me and you were like, "There's another hour left of this movie," I was like, good, because not enough has happened yet, but also like, holy crap, there's another hour left of this movie. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. Is there anything else you want to talk about? How have you been? How are you? I mean, I know how you are. Let them know.
I'm good. I'm well. What is
fine? I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Badur! Big time salute!
Big time salute.
See you in the chat.
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think things have been pretty good. I mean, I've been home for like almost 2 weeks, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That's a change. I get to be here for another week before I take off for the majority of the summer. And yeah, I mean, saw some movies. I think I talked about Quantumania.
We both watched Tetris.
Oh, I didn't watch Tetris.
Oh no, that was me and Jason.
Yeah.
Talked to Jason about today. I told you to watch Tetris.
I watched Memories of Murder.
Oh yeah.
It's Bong Joon-ho's like first big breakout movie that like made him famous, and really good, really good. For anyone that's never seen it, it's a lot like Zodiac. It feels a lot like watching Zodiac. I don't know if I would say equally good necessarily, but
it's like
very
such an interesting selling point.
Yeah, well, people
like
love
half people might be like,
yeah, Zodiac's become it's become beloved. Obviously, Succession.
Beef. I've been seeing Beef.
We're
talking about that.
Love Is Blind, obviously.
I'm not caught up yet.
I'm 1 episode behind.
I need to watch. Yeah, same. I need to get caught up. Actually watched it with a friend. It's all right. It's not a big deal.
I've been recording music. New song working on. Went and did the vocals for it last night.
Oh yeah, that's what you were doing yesterday.
Yeah, and it's sounding really good, which is exciting. So yeah, that's fun. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on in the last couple weeks other than that stuff.
I mean, that's enough. That's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of things that you just mentioned. Okay, cool. Well, okay. First of all, Tetris is great. Everyone should watch Tetris if you haven't watched Tetris yet, because it's super enjoyable, and I wish that you'd watch it so that we could talk about it. I've
seen a lot of clips from it on TikTok. It's been all over TikTok.
Really? Why?
People just do this. They upload clips from whatever is currently streaming and popular. So like movies that you see on Netflix that are like for instance, the movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
I've seen the entire movie on TikTok now. If it's like a featured top 10 release on a platform, people just upload clips to TikTok, and the fool that I am, I watch the clips. So I've seen a lot of Tetris now just on TikTok.
What clips do they put up on there? They're just like of this like scenes of the movie, and they're like,
I've got the clip of him asking for the loan when he's talking. He's like, "You want $3 million? That's what you're here for?" And I've got that whole clip, and I've got the intro clip, and I've seen a good 15-20 minutes of the movie.
How do you feel about that? Why are you doing this to yourself?
It's TikTok, man. You know how it works. You just get hooked on watching stuff, and then you're like, why did I just watch that whole video?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's my algorithm is very different.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine is
the genius of TikTok.
Okay. All right. Good for everyone that just got to enjoy that. I feel good about it. All right, Succession, non-spoilers. I wanted to say the other day, I was talking to Ash about this, and I was saying that, Succession's going to end. And I was like, the show is wonderful. I think it's like one of the best written shows and one of the best acted shows. And it's one of my favorite shows, period. But I was like, I think when all is said and done and time comes and goes, it will just kind of be forgotten.
Why do you think that?
I just didn't feel like it like does enough in its 5 seasons. I just think it's really good.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of really good shows that kind of just get forgotten about. I think because there's no like superstar person in it to keep it relevant and talked about for a long time is one of the reasons. But that's like the least big reason I care about. It's more of just like I didn't feel like it did anything super new or didn't do anything super like crazy with what it had been given. Even though again, I think it's like excellent, right? I don't know. It was just like, it just felt like a show that just kind of did the same thing over and over and over. And they're very good at doing that thing. And I really enjoy watching that thing. However, I will say what they just did in the show, I believe might change that in history. Because I feel like what they've done in this episode is one of the first times that it's ever been done on a show.
Yeah.
And the way that it's been done, and you already know the show's going to end. Like, you already know that the show's going to end at the end of season, 4? That they've already said that.
Yeah.
So it's like you already have in your mind like all these things that could happen. But for them to keep it like fresh and I think like innovative and like so well executed, not only do I think everyone in there should win their Emmys, but also I think that maybe that's the thing that will always make you go, yeah, I know, but have you ever seen this show? Have you ever seen Succession? Because that is one of the times when blank happened, and like that was the first time that ever happened, you know? Or like not only did they do this so great, but the thing that makes you remember it is like, do you remember what happened in season 4? Like that type of thing. I think that this makes it at least stick around in the conversation because like you could talk about The Sopranos and what, and, you know, was the first time that HBO, like one of the mainstream, and then like Breaking Bad is kind of the first time HBO showed up on cable television, you know? So it's like all these shows have their things, and then it's like, oh, Game of Thrones, that's like Lord of the Rings, but then we got more of it. For all of us that grew up with Lord of the Rings, I didn't feel like Succession had its thing.
I think specifically what I would say this episode felt like to me was it's the famous Breaking Bad episode Ozymandias. I think it's the third to last episode, or the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. These are the iconic greatest episode of the show. The kind of episode that when it ends, you're like, okay, like that's the best that show's ever been. It's probably better than that show's ever going to be. They cashed in on so many things that had culminated to a huge moment, and they completely pulled it off. Yeah. It's that thing when the episode ends, your jaws kind of dropped. Like, for instance,
the whole time your jaws dropped. I feel like throughout.
For instance, as good as the episode of Last of Us was, the third episode, which I absolutely adore. I think that episode is an incredible piece of television.
Why you got to compare them?
Well, what I mean is there's so much less investment in that episode. So even though the quality's there, you don't have like a later episode in a season where you've built for years to something incredible happening, and then the payoff, which is like, it's really hard to do that in a show where you know the characters so well. And I think that they did it in this way with this episode. That I agree. And I was even listening to a podcast with the creators of it this morning talking about it, sort of like, how did you guys come to the conclusion to do it this way? And it was interesting the way they described it. They were like, well, there was being innovative. There was the idea that like the audience would be surprised. There was the idea that we wanted to, you know, like, again, I don't want to give anything away, but I thought it was interesting hearing them talk about it and acknowledging the element of surprise did play into it.
Yeah.
In a major way.
They talked about like, even after this long, you still want to be known as like a show that is like fresh and edgy and doing these things that like catch people off guard, because a lot of times people just like fall in, like I love The Handmaid's Tale, or I loved The Handmaid's Tale. I think that it's just become so much of the same thing over and over, and even the things that they try to do that are kind of new, I find to be like just kind of tired.
Sure.
And like they're only one season ahead, I think, of Succession. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about it because I think it is like one of the better episodes of television I've seen in a very long time, and yeah, I think everyone on that show is just so good.
I also think the thing that really struck me, as well as obviously the element of surprise, is what you saw on screen in this episode versus what you saw off screen in this episode was such an interesting choice, and I think was so effective. And I think that, like, again, for anyone who's watched it kind of knows what I'm referring to, but like I think that is a really important piece of what made this so, I guess, unnerving, or like the tension of the episode felt like...
Well, they shot it like a play is what they were saying, which is really cool. It sounds like Culkin and Malad were like talking, and they like had this idea of like, what if we shot like basically 28 minutes is like a oneer. The
oneer, yeah.
And it's like, but that was an idea that came way later and basically is like almost a throwaway because in production, like the way that it works on big movies or big shows is in a scene like this, when you have all of your stars in a room for like very dramatic moments, they usually do like a person's coverage every day if it's a controlled set like a boat. If it's not a controlled set, they would do like each room in a day because there's numerous rooms and all of this. But since they like, you know, obviously it's a big show, I don't know if they did each person's coverage or I don't know if they did each person's room, but when you have that much money, you have a lot more time. So it's basically like they got to do everyday coverage like they had planned originally. And then it was like, well, now that we have this all done and the coverage that we were supposed to get, what if we did it as a as like a 1-act, 27-minute play that they just have 3 cameras shooting always? And like that's why you get the vibe, is because like you can't replicate that live theater feel in like normal television because it's impossible to shoot. Like normally it's so impossible to shoot with 3 cameras, which is why they had to get all the coverage initially, because then anytime a camera person steps in front of you, which is going to happen always in those shots, because one camera person's like, oh, this is the moment where we need to zoom in on Shiv. It's like, well, they're going to step in front of X's coverage, so now we have all this great solo coverage they got during the week. So like not only is it like like brilliance from a production standpoint, but also just from how you feel when you watch it was like, holy shit.
That was the thing about it, I think, that I would really say feels the most unique, was like they kept the tone. It never really dipped. It felt like basically the entirety of that sequence feels the way they want it to. And again, you can't fake it. You can't.
Yeah.
Which is what was so impressive. So if you guys haven't watched it yet, highly recommend. Incredible show. One of my all-time favorite shows. It'll be interesting to see what the legacy of the show ends up being.
Yeah.
I think your point is sound, questioning it. And I do think that this episode, you know, was a big part of its legacy. Probably.
Big time salute. Martial arts film freak Scott Adkins, Donnie Yen, Marco Zaror, Hiroyuki Sanada, John Wick Chapter 4 was a martial arts fan's dream. Wet dream, even. I'll even go that far. And then Robin West Parker. I've never watched this channel before, but they're a lot calmer than I imagined since I only know their Schmoedown characters. It's always fun to see a comment like that. Big time salute to you, man. Glad you're here. Were you going to say something, martial arts film freak?
What I was going to say was that that's a perfect lead-in to our show, which is Action Movie Anatomy. We cover action movies on this show. Those movies adhere to 4 basic rules. Today, the film is John Wick Chapter 4. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. Oddly, as we've talked about in the past, there's this weird world of markers and having to do things because you are specifically playing by someone else's rules.
Yeah.
That like kind of invalidates John, but he is within the confines of this world, always the guy who does it how he wants to.
And the way that he's going with about his business in this film, he is clearly playing by his own rules now. It felt like he was like falling in line with the rules at certain points throughout, you know, because to like pay. What's the whole thing called again? I know there's the table that oversees everyone, but what's the actual? Like, is there like a society that I'm forgetting the name of? Whatever the underworld is called. Anyway, that it feels like he was kind of like trying to, but then in this one, it's funny because it's like the whole goal of this is to follow the rules and to clear his name. Right. But he's doing it in the most not follow your rules way. So I don't know. I think it is still kind of a tossed up.
Yeah.
Right?
Rule. Yeah, I would say. I think I would still lean on the side of yes because he has the vibe of that.
Yeah.
Rule number 2: the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you, in the room. I like that we've been saying dinosaurs since 2015 because of Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the first ones we ever did.
I know, it's hilarious.
It's like there's
just
not
like, because of Jurassic Park.
No.
Jurassic World.
Because it was like episode number 6 and there just hasn't been that many dinosaurs on this show, but we always reference it.
Yeah.
So hero and the villain are always the smartest people in the room. I mean, John's always the smartest guy in the room. That's part of it's one of the important characteristics of any lead badass action hero.
Yeah, and it's like with Skarsgård, is he just the most powerful evil person in the room? Like, is he actually the smartest person? Because it's like the only time that his wits are challenged, he dies. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Donnie Yen's kind of he's a villain at parts of the movie, and he is definitely the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
When he's the villain. But yeah, I mean, the way that Skarsgård is able to like, sort of enforce his will, so to speak, does make him kind of the smartest guy in the room. Like, enough. But it's true. He doesn't feel as ruthless as he is cunning.
As ruthless as he is cunning. except for switch it. He's not as cunning as he is ruthless, because he's clearly ruthless.
He's ruthless, yeah.
I gotta say, like, as a very quick segue, as a really tangential segue, it's always weird when you watch someone pass in a film and then they pass in real life.
Oh,
you know,
the
like,
Reddick thing.
Yeah, it's always like very, I don't know. There was like the fire alarm went off during our movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like people got really weird, like really uncomfortable. And it was like also during that moment, it was like just so many things. There was like a quick like 20-30 minutes in the beginning of the movie where it like really took me out of what was going on. But I still really enjoyed what was going on. And I thought he did a great job, because in the beginning of this movie, they do such a good job of really making you like care about the story of the movie before they just go crazy. So anyway, please continue on to rule number 3.
Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. Also could be the man or work for the man, which means they could be an MTA operator in the taking of Pelham 123. Almost got through that one.
Almost.
But I blew it.
Also was added for a specific film.
A very specific film. Before this show ends again, I'd like to do the taking of Pelham 123 again. I'm putting that out there right for you guys right now so you can see Drew. Look at his face.
This is the last episode then.
You're a big fan of that movie. Let's be honest.
I like it more. No, I do not. That is impossible.
So that is rule number 3. He's a mercenary. Yeah, he's a mercenary, right?
I think he's an assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the closest one in our rules. Mm-hmm. It's weird that it doesn't actually feel like it hits the rules nearly as easily as I would expect a John Wick movie to. And then rule number 4, there's a minimum of 1 explosion. I think there's a bunch of stuff that explodes.
John Wick was like our 6th episode ever or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something like super early on.
Those old John Wick episodes have millions and millions of views.
They all do. They're all legit. Yeah. It does have a lot of explosions. So, yeah, I'd say it kind of fits the rules. That's the whole thing with John Wick, though, is like he doesn't want to be an assassin, so he doesn't really want to follow their rules, but then he's been wronged.
Yeah.
And in this movie, again, they're just back to bother him. It was seen that Alex and Kelly both thought that his wife was part of a huge crime family within the high table. I mean, I just don't get why they just don't leave him alone.
Agreed.
But
he just kills everybody.
Then we wouldn't get the movies.
And it's like, if you just left him alone, a lot more of you would live.
We should write the 5th John Wick movie.
John Wick does not fight anymore.
It's 25 minutes long. Everyone lives.
He opens a coffee shop. He's a barista.
He
does beautiful, beautiful latte art. So anyway, those are the rules. I think we should jump straight into, we normally would do thesis statement here, but I would like to get into fist pump moment, because I do feel that this film, is that not okay with you?
I mean, I'm just surprised.
Is
it because you don't have a thesis statement?
I'm going to let Drew take over.
Because Ben does not have a thesis. No,
I'm prepared.
I wasn't upset about it. I was just surprised. I had a reaction. All right, fine.
We have a section of the show called Thesis Statement where Drew gets out of my office. We have a section called Thesis Statement. You introduce your biggest, boldest thought about the film. This is rooted in hyperbole. It is the greatest, the first, the last, the best, the only.
You've thought deeply about yours this week.
I have.
You have?
I'm very prepared. And
my thesis statement is that we should go to fist pump moment.
But it shouldn't be like loose ever. It should never just be like, this is my favorite Keanu Reeves movie. My thesis statement is, this is my favorite Keanu. No.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay, I tried to run this by Jay today.
Okay,
and I'm curious because I'm a professional. I thought about it. I'm curious how you'll feel about this. I think, as of right now,
okay,
when all is said and done, if you look back at Keanu Reeves' career, he will be remembered by these 4 John Wick movies more than anything else, and I think that's a travesty.
That's you. Like, obviously the biggest comparison there is Matrix, and you think because there's 4 of them.
I think because they're all bad. They're all bad except for the first one. Of the Matrix movies.
Oh, the Matrix movies.
And that one only came out, I mean,
we came out
30 years ago almost. Like 25 years ago, right?
Yeah.
24.
23. Yeah. 24. You're right.
Yeah, I know I am. 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And then, like, obviously we'll remember that. And the people like you and me and the people, everyone that is our age and older than us and maybe our kids. But it's like, because all the other Matrix movies I think were bad, no one really wants to go back and watch them much. And I think that's obviously a travesty. And I think it sucks that being like, oh, the first Matrix movie is one of the greatest movies you'll ever watch. That's a hard sell. Whereas like, it's not hard to make anyone go watch a John Wick movie. And he's been making John Wick movies for what, like 15 years or something like that, it feels like? I don't know when did the first one come out?
2014.
Okay, so not 15 years. So 9 years, almost 10 years. Yeah. 10 years, basically, a decade, right? And again, I said this is like a travesty because I think there's so much in his career. Like, I grew up loving Keanu Reeves for so many things. Speed is one of my favorite movies. I love The Devil's Advocate. Constantine was awesome. Like, there's Bill and Ted was not like of my generation, but like that's what everyone thought he was going to be remembered for before us, right? And then it was us, and it was like, oh, it's going to be The Matrix. It's going to be these movies. I don't know if I'm right, and I hope that I'm not, but it just really does feel like with the way that his career is going and how successful these movies are and how in their face you are and how celebrated they are too, because also, okay, imagine 50 years from now and someone's talking about Keanu Reeves. What do we do when someone does that? A lot of times we go back, and if we don't know who they are, we probably look at their filmography and look at their best rated movies. And the John Wick movies are rated a lot better than a lot of his career.
I mean, I think your point's really interesting here, and the reason is because the most important piece of it, what you said, is that those Matrix movies are not watchable. Like 2 and 3 are 4 is not watchable at all. 3 is not watchable. 2 is kind of watchable, but really like you have to talk to somebody who's like a big fan of the genre who will try to talk you into why those movies are okay. But otherwise, The Matrix is like a great movie from its time that is unfortunately washing away in relevance in the same way that like Gladiator is. Like,
and I think these statements are like so perfect for what we're talking about. Alex goes, I love The Matrix. It's a hard watch right now with how common major shootings are, though. Exactly. It's like, what's the coolest thing about The Matrix? It's like the violence. And especially the shooting. And like, okay, so there's so much more to that. And then Tay says, The Matrix is my dad's favorite movie, which is exactly also the point, right? Of course it is. Because we all watched that movie. So anyways, just to continue, I think this adds to the point.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one of the biggest things as like sort of pundits who have talked about pop culture now for going on a decade pretty soon is that you realize very quickly that relevance is not something that you are able to evaluate in real time. It's something that as time passes and more happens, you have a better sense of, okay, I thought this was a reference or something that was just going to be a forever reference. But wow, it's been 10 years, and now 10 years later, it's like, that's not a thing people talk about anymore. It's not a thing that like is just understood. There was nothing keeping it relevant. And I think that is the biggest difference between everything we talked about. Like, I love Point Break. I love Speed.
Right.
I love The Matrix. There's a lot of Keanu Reeves stuff that I think is really fun and super watchable. I mean, there's even movies like Parenthood that I love him in.
Yeah.
It's just, but when it comes to relevance, like why would somebody go back and watch something? That's the whole conversation is like, why is Jurassic Park so relevant when there's only one good Jurassic Park movie, like great Jurassic Park movie? Because they make a Jurassic Park movie every few years.
Yeah.
They make another Jurassic movie and they keep coming out. Like Mario made all this money. They've been making Mario games and content since the late 80s, like early 90s.
That is interesting when you put it that way, because it's like, it does feel like those things aren't as like relevant, but they've just been around.
Yeah.
Like Jurassic Park, the idea that Jurassic Park's staying relevant feels like a joke is like, well, yeah, because they've been making movies nonstop for 30 years.
Yeah, James Bond. I mean, anything that comes out that consistently.
I do want to say something really quick here with Kelly. Oddly, none of the John Wick movies are listed under Keanu's IMDb top 4 known for films. So if you have IMDb Pro, you can change what movies are there. And I do wonder if his management doesn't put those movies there because you don't need to put those movies there.
Yeah.
You can put other movies there that just, maybe they rotate. Maybe they do it by like, I don't know, but I just know that it doesn't always just mean it's the top 4 highest rated or most popular. You can just choose what you want to be up in there.
I wonder, do you think that like a star like Keanu Reeves or Tom Cruise, like that they subscribe to IMDb Pro?
Yeah, 100%.
They
all do.
Yeah.
Yes. They all do. I'm sure that they don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure their management company deals with it. But yeah, they all have it because a lot of part of it is like, with the joke of the whole blue check mark thing, it's kind of what you have to do when you're a famous person in the world is like you have to have your IMDb Pro page that like you have control over. Because when you become that famous, I think it would be crazy to not pay for it because someone else could just make one then.
Yeah.
And even though it would be hard for them, they'd still be able to like do stuff that would be false. So anyway, and then Alex's point, yeah, exactly, with the Matrix. So that was my thesis statement. I don't know. Go ahead. You keep going.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was going to say I don't know if it's going to be true or not. And like I said, I hope it's not. But it really does feel like that's kind of like the path that we're going on.
So my thesis statement, I found myself thinking about this during the movie, and I know you're joking because
I found myself thinking about this right now.
Off a lot of the last 5 minutes. Thank you for taking so long. No, I thought about this a lot, and I hesitated to use it. I was almost going to bring it up with you after the movie, but now that I've thought about it a bit more in the last couple minutes, now that I've thought about it a bit more, I think that it's true. And what my thesis statement is that Hiroyuki Sanada is the most relevant martial artist in American films this century.
Hiroyuki Sanada?
Yeah.
Martial artist.
Martial artist in American films this century. And let me explain why I say that.
Is he even a martial artist?
Yeah, for sure. He definitely
a Japanese actor.
No, he's definitely a martial artist.
Okay, keep going.
Or actor doing martial arts parts, whatever you want to say.
All right, fair.
But he's a martial artist. That's the point.
I know. Kelly's already ready to go. Yeah. She's got your phone number, so.
So the reason I say it is because I started thinking about how I felt about him as an actor when he came on screen in this movie. And I started thinking like, okay, I got so excited when I saw him because at this point I'm so used to him being this type of presence. He plays these certain types of characters. He's always such a badass. His martial arts in the films are always super on point. Going back to like when the first time I saw him was Last Samurai. Obviously, that's like such a memorable part for me. But then I think about all these movies that he's been in. He's so famous now because the guy has like a badass fight in Avengers Endgame. He's in obviously this. He's in Mortal Kombat. He's a guy that's just really started showing up as the premier badass actor doing these parts in American movies in a way that really no one else in the last 25 years has been that guy. Like the guy that what I would have said is probably Jet Li. And Jet Li, for all the greatness that he brought to the screen, and he did, really stopped making movies that anyone gave a shit about 20 years ago. Like 15 to 20 years ago. He did like a string of pretty bad action movies where he's awesome. And then he was in Mulan. Like the Expendables movies, I guess he's in like one of, I think.
But how do you say relevant? I got to admit, like, as much as I love Hiroyuki Sanada, like, I know that most people don't know who he is by name.
Yeah, true.
Right?
So,
like, even I think someone like Donnie Yen you could argue for him. But, like, isn't it just always Jackie Chan?
Yeah, I mean, because Jackie Chan is just so famous. It's just, I'm trying to think of what Jackie Chan's done.
But, like, also, like, as what you're kind of describing, I just feel like that's still just Jackie Chan. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess like in the way that like Tiger Woods is not the best golfer on the tour, but everybody's like had Tiger play. Like in that same way, he's just more famous than everyone else, no matter how good he is or what he actually achieves when he's out there. He's just Tiger Woods in the same way that Jackie Chan is just Jackie Chan. I mean, it's interesting actually. Michelle Yeoh would be probably like a strong argument for the same thing now. Like she's becoming that person. But I guess I found myself thinking about it, and maybe it's a flimsy thesis, but I thought about it a lot when I saw him on screen. I thought about it a lot afterwards. Like, I think the Avengers Endgame thing is maybe the thing that pushed it over the edge for me. He's like, if you're that guy in that part, you're getting cast in that movie, it puts you to like the top of the top of the top of that type of character, right? Like, it doesn't get any bigger than that. So I feel
Shang-Chi is bigger than that. Like, just being him.
Sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah. So maybe it's flimsy. I guess my point in highlighting it was, I think that he's made such an enormous impact.
I think you could say maybe as someone that is not a martial artist traditionally, that has like as someone that appears to be one, maybe in American films, like something like that, like kind of like the same way like Jean-Claude Van Damme did, like, you know, like he wasn't actually like a trained fighter, I think initially.
He was a good martial artist.
He was like a dancer that then learned how to fight, or maybe I'm actually sorry, maybe that's Wesley Snipes that I'm mistaking that for. But like, yeah, I don't know, but I guess I understand what you're saying, but I just don't know if I agree.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to the next part of the show here, and this is what I was getting to earlier. This is fist pump moment. Something happens in the movie. You kind of look over to your buddy like, are you seeing this right now? I get to watch the rest of this movie. This is so hype. And this movie, I would say more than anything else, is just one walking fist pump.
Yeah, there's so many,
and it's so long.
Yeah, we just gotta go through. We just gotta go through as many as that we can. Just like fire them off in the chat as well. We're happy to go sound off. Excuse me. I'm gonna go for a doubler here on my first. The fact that you recognized it was Scott Adkins before I did.
Yes, so sick.
And then the fact that Scott Adkins did what he did. Oh, yeah, I repeat. My thesis statement. Donnie Yen, I saw this earlier, holds the monopoly on a blind martial artist master who fights with a stick, which is funny because you said this exact same thing when we walked out of the theater.
Yeah.
First, you recognizing it was Scott Adkins, and then me having the recognition of being like, wow, Scott Adkins is like really doing it. He's like doing this thing right now. And his death was amazing. But his whole entire thing of like, the movie feels a lot like a video game.
Yeah.
It feels like you're moving through and you're running into mini bosses along the way. And when you first got introduced to Scott Adkins' character, since I couldn't tell who it was at first, I was like, all right, I don't know if this guy's going to be a mini boss or if this is more about the other people that are in the room, right? Because like there's a lot of other main characters in the room that show up, right? So, but then when you see him move for the first time and you're like, oh, he can fight.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, this is the mini boss. His style of fighting and the way he fought and how he moved, that agile for being that big, was so awesome to see. And then the way that Wick finally kills him is just incredible. It's like using his mass against him and just finally just like knocking him over. But he falls like 2 stories and he just like cracks.
Yeah.
Like Humpty Dumpty. Like so sick.
He was such a good mini boss, like the burliness and like, because before he stands up, you're like, this guy's annoying, and then you're like, oh, they're gonna have to like answer this somehow, and yeah, that was amazing. His suit was sweet too. He had like a maroon suit,
and then ripping out the gold tooth, all great.
His hair was crazy. Yeah, that was incredible. I think for me, a top sequence has to be the Osaka hotel sequence. Mm-hmm. The whole thing was just so nuts. I mean, I don't know how many guys John Wick kills in that scene. Sonata, like the whole thing, the nunchuck fighting.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying to you, like,
kill with the nunchuck at the end, the last uppercut swinging
he
one.
Swings the dude's face. Oh my god.
Yeah.
One of the things that's so cool about this is like now that they're at the 4th movie, it does feel a lot like a video game where it's like, okay, so now the henchmen that you're gonna have to fight, they're like samurai soldiers with guns and swords. They've all got helmets and like armor.
They're bulletproof.
Yeah,
now.
they're
like,
bulletproof. You have to kill them so much harder than the last guys. Like, and you know, in video games, they're like, oh, these guys are the yellow guys now. They're not the green dressed guys anymore. They're harder to kill. Oh, the red guys, these are the hardest ones.
Yep.
Like, it reminds me of playing like Ninja Turtles side scrollers as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and like I just was like laughing because as they're having to kill these guys, like John has to get so much more creative. There's that one dude he shoots like 17 times.
He shoots him so many times. The guy in the black armor in that glass like mirror room when him and Donnie Yen. It's also crazy that him and Donnie. I love because again, just like a video game, when you fight like either the last boss or the second to last boss, they show up a lot of times throughout the game.
Yeah,
you have to fight them really quickly and then they get away again. And that's what it felt like with Donnie Yen over and over because in that sequence, you were like, oh, wow, him and John Wick are fighting now.
Yeah.
I guess one of them's going to die.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's probably going to be Donnie Yen because it's too early in the movie. And I love that it just, like, they keep getting erupted. The dude with the dog was great.
Yeah.
I love that they've recognized that dogs need to be inside of John Wick always. And now they just need to be badass dogs. And, like, the whole kill and nuts and the beef that he had with that, like, gigantic, like, I don't know if he was like Spanish or something.
Yeah.
I think he was speaking Spanish, but I don't know if like what he was supposed to be. But that dude was also he was around for so long.
You're talking about the super jack dude?
Yeah, the super jack dude that was always
like,
in the suit with the little scar here.
Yeah,
he came to the hotel in Osaka. Like, God, it was so sick. All of it was so good. And the kill with the dog.
I love that Sonata too, like God, him with the sword and like
he's nobody.
He just wrecks people too. He just like his fighting was
when Yen and Sonata fight and Yen's kill shots, they're both just like pop, because he does it throughout the movie. That thing's like a little he's just like a little like a scorpion's like
amazing
stinger or something. He just destroys people with it. His fighting also, because we were talking about this when we were leaving, was like anytime you know Keanu's doing his thing, it's entertaining. But when you watch Donnie Yen do anything fighting wise, it's like effortless and it's mesmerizing.
I just can't believe he's still as fast as he is on the screen at this age. It's like that. I can't believe he's so badass.
He'd be so mad to hear you say that.
It like he's just amazing. Like
it's just incredible.
I like you go watch Ip Man and you're like, okay, he's really fast, and you're like, yeah, okay, but like you think like that movie was made like I don't know how many years ago, almost 20 years ago now, probably the first one, maybe a little less than that, but like definitely a while ago. Donnie Yen's got to be in his 60s now, right? Late 50s, maybe?
I think so, probably. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, he's still so fast.
He's a year older than Keanu.
That's so
and
crazy.
Keanu moves like an old man, whereas Donnie Yen is like very nimble.
Yeah.
And Keanu does, I mean, like a grizzly old man. Grizzly. I love him. He's so good. All of his fights are so incredible. I love that I was gonna say Marie Zambino, the stone staircase fight.
Yes.
Like that's so rough. Going up there twice.
Can we talk about Shamir Anderson? I think that's the guy's name with the dog with the knife through the hand.
Oh, the pull!
Oh,
it was
God.
like you pull out the hand, you pull out the knife, and one shows your dedication to the cause.
That was.
And it was like, first of all, I was like, how's he gonna do it?
You were thinking he's gonna go up.
I was like, does he
cut his hand?
Yeah, I was like, does he go up and split it? But I was like, I don't know if that works. But the tear, oh God,
so sad,
dude. In Green Room, I think is it Green Room when his hand gets like blown in half, or is it his arm?
When he gets like the
because he's holding his hand through the door and it gets shot. I think when he pulls it back, it's all like torn apart.
Yeah, I think it gets cut up with like some sort of a barbed wire, right?
I think it gets cut up like knives.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's not shot. Maybe it's just cut. But he pulls it back and it's all like
shredded
and shredded. It's like that's what I. Ugh. That was gnarly.
So savage.
Yeah, the roundabout fight was sick there in Paris.
That one we talked about.
The Dragon's Breath shotgun. That part, I was literally like a kid in a candy shop. I was like giggling every time it happened, and I was like, maybe this next one won't be as awesome. Then it happened. I was like,
every time someone gets shot, his light on fire. Yeah, that was the same sequence, the overhead sequence. Right?
Yeah, which was like just incredible.
And they're going like overhead room to room. It's like a oneer, and it's just like incredible.
It just keeps going.
Oh God, it was so good. And then the ending. One thing I will say was a fist bump for me was that there was not a whole lot of the homeless shopping cart guys led by Jason Mantzoukas. Easily my least favorite part of the last two movies was that entire we have a gun in a shopping cart with this like guy on the corner. I just was like, this is so dumb. This is the only guys, come on, get back to the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they didn't do any of it.
Yeah, they really didn't. And the stuff that they did have that was there was like nice. Like it was good that they had ways to get around and get him a suit and get him guns and whatever. Guns. I need lots of guns.
I like that earlier in the second movie, he has a bulletproof suit, and you're like, oh, cool technology. And in this movie, everyone has bulletproof suits.
Them, which is good because like it does make it like ridiculous. Like the whole just like hold up part of your jacket over your face and you're just like immortal.
Yeah.
It's like that is ridiculous.
It's a video game.
It is. It is a video game. I loved the kill of Skarsgård because I knew it needed to be a quick one.
Yeah.
I knew that there couldn't be some stupid duel. And I remember when he got shot, I was like, yeah, Keanu didn't shoot.
No.
And I remember like clocking that. But also like I love that him and Yen kind of shot each other in the exact same like non-kill spots.
Yeah.
Arm, shoulder, it's like lower abdomen. Like I don't know, that was cool. I loved it. And then I do you think that the whole line of "you arrogant ass," he didn't shoot? Like, do you think that's because, is it just to stop people from being like, well, he shot. How did he have another bullet? Like, do you think it's that person? Or do you think it's just like to add in like a fun, heavy-handed like action line?
I think it's both, but I think it's probably more that the audience misses the shot. At that point in the movie, my only real criticism of this movie is that it's so long.
It is very long.
That by the time it even happens, I'm like not even watching that closely to like exactly what's happening anymore. I'm almost like desensitized to the amount of shooting that you just. I think I would have just. I don't even know if I would have tracked it. Right. I would have had to rewind it or something. So I think that's probably one of the reasons.
It was so funny. I was just being a dog owner. There's one moment in the movie where the dude, I think he's like falling he like falls through the floor fighting someone else, and the dog is on the floor above him.
Yeah.
But the dog already like killed and dealt with someone, and like it was funny because there was a moment where I was like, ugh, well, that's not realistic. Like in my mind, because I was like, where's the dog? I was like, there's no way that if the owner was in a fighting situation, the dog was trained like that the dog would just not be there with him instantly. Yeah. And it was so funny because I was like, that was the only moment in the whole ridiculous movie because I'm already sold on everything else. Yeah. But I was like, if you're going to have like a superhero dog with a dude that like kills people with his dog, like, it doesn't make sense that his dog is just off somewhere. Dogs aren't like people in that sense.
Fist pump for me was Clancy Brown showing up with the hat and the beard.
Pretty awesome.
I just laughed every time he walked on the screen.
Every time I looked at him, I was like, man, I wonder how hard it would be to knock that guy over. Just like running full speed, just trying to knock him over.
I love
like a house.
I love the design of these movies. I think this is one of the things I noticed
this
about.
It was beautiful.
One of the things I noticed about this one that really stood out to me was like, God, everything, the locations, the wardrobe. That's a big difference from the first movie. Is as cool as the first movie is, and as much as I love it, it's obvious how much more money they have now compared to the first movie. I rewatched the first one, and it's like the first one feels like a mid-level movie where they're spending money where they need to, but a lot of it is not outrageous. This movie was like.
Yeah, and 2 and 3 felt like they were trying to do it, but this movie they did it. I think they really recognized, like, you know what made No Time to Die and the last Mission Impossible movies, and even like Succession sweet, is like being in wealth. And I know it's like kind of like lame to say, but that's really what it is. Like when it all comes down to those incredible sets, you think that those are like places that only like billionaires or the top 1% of wealth people would hang out in.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to see your movies shot.
I mean, Skarsgård's wardrobe was amazing.
It was incredible.
All his like fucking Napoleon jackets.
They're just like sitting in the museum in front of like some of the most famous pieces of art. Like, and I'm pretty sure it just looked like they probably rented out the museum to shoot in it because it looks so real and practical. I can't imagine they would do a green screen of that, but it's like just those kind of sets. You're like, this is just badass, man. It's just cool.
Yeah, I loved getting to see the Osaka Continental. That was another one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Is like it's like the idea that you have this like, and it was like the New York one feels sort of small, not the inside, but the outside feels
huge.
Right, the New York one feels kind of like you go on this little corner, you walk down a hallway, and there's a concierge, like a cool boutique hotel. This was like a giant facility. It felt like this huge lobby and like. I love so much.
And
about
like
these
the
movies.
daughter was sweet. The fighting, all the fighting in Japan was like really awesome. And she like ruins that dude on the staircase with the knives.
Oh,
that
God,
part,
that
you and I were just like, oh.
She's climbing up his back.
And like, I do love when they have people that look tiny, like even just like, you know, man or woman, because that was one of our favorite things about the raid, where they look tiny and then when they fight, they look like they're fucking people up.
Yeah.
It's so enjoyable when it's pulled off correctly because it can be done.
She was sick with the bow too.
Oh, dude, she was awesome. She was rocking people. Okay, so a couple quick things because I know we were already at like our hour here. So we can skip a lot of the normal hubbub that we do and maybe just cover, like, we don't need to do favorite line in this movie, I don't think. But a couple things. Is John Wick alive? And then 2, does she kill Donnie Yen?
Well, I will say that I think these movies are too successful for them to leave anything on the table. I think with her, I think Keanu, they won't make a John Wick 5 for a while, if they even make one, right? I don't know if he's alive. I think it'll probably depend on the success of like Ballerina and the Continental. I think it's up in the air right now. Probably like they're willing to let him be dead unless there feels like a reason in 4 or 5 years to bring him back for like a John Wick 5, like the end of John Wick sort of. It's weird because in some ways it felt like they allowed him to die here in a way that didn't feel like it actually ended the story. Like it was so quick. He just like is on the stairs and then it's just over and there's a quick funeral.
And you and I both look at each other like, there's no way
he's dead, right?
No way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's that. I feel like she will fight Donnie Yen in a series or a spin-off or some Ballerina maybe. I don't really know what that's going to be about, but I think you're going to see that happen.
Wait, why can't you tell us what the rumor is about the post-credit scene? Because like, I don't know. I watched that post-credit scene and I was like, really? We just waited 5 minutes for that?
Yeah.
First of all, there's no way she should kill him.
No.
Because, like, he's blind. Like, he's a blind superhero.
How did he do it?
Right. Like, I know there's maybe a lot of noise going on there, but if we're going to believe everything that we saw so far in this movie, I don't think you can just, like, walk up to Donnie. Like, if anything, you should shoot him from far away.
Blow him up with a rocket.
Yeah, blow up the whole city block that he's on. Because, like, the dude...
He'd see it coming.
He would see it coming. He can... I was like, oh, the other unrealistic, because I remember I had two, and one was the dog, and the other one was like, how the fuck does he know he has 4 nines? There's no way he knows he has 4 nines. Cards are the same.
Yeah, it's pretty believable other than that.
Other than those two things. But, okay, but there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way she kills him, but I could see in the movie that she kills him.
Tay Namaho here with the super chat. Hey, I know this isn't on Patreon, but can we talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie next time? I'm going to see it next week. Salute to you, Tay.
Thank you, Tay.
I haven't seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet.
Did make a lot of money, though.
I haven't seen Creed 3 yet either.
Ooh,
I need to watch both of those.
If you get on my TikTok feed, you're going to see a lot of clips from Creed 3. I've seen my favorite clips from the film several times.
Isn't that illegal?
Probably.
If Drew and Ben are okay with... I'm okay with you spilling. I mean, why wouldn't we be?
Yeah. If you've watched this far, you've probably been spoiled already. So
yeah, we already.
Yeah, feel free to share it. Okay, John Wick. I think John Wick is alive. John Wick. What is your favorite? Do you have a ranking of your John Wick movies?
Yeah, probably 1, 4, 3, 2.
I think I go 1, 4, 2, 3. I haven't gone back to 2 or 3 since I saw them both the first time. I've only seen the first one a few times, but my memory is that 3 felt like overly long and some of the stuff I didn't care about, where most of the world building in 2 I appreciated more. But it's interesting. You were telling me that there seems to be more of a general opinion that 3 is better than 2.
Maybe I need to go back.
Yeah, that's my memory of it. I love these movies. I think my only issue with these movies is they feel you can only do this so much.
Right. Would you want it to end? Like, normally we would do buy, sell. I guess we could just have that conversation, but it's like...
I don't want to watch another 2.5, 3 hour movie of this. Like, they did more with this movie. They pushed this further than I think you almost can. Like, I don't know how much further you can push badass, like, hand-to-hand combat with, like, the same characters, kind of. I feel like I'm more interested in Sisu, the other film that we saw the trailer for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie looks sick.
That movie looks insane.
Oh, I can't wait. That was like almost better than the whole movie.
The trailer for Sisu.
John Wick was sweet.
Incredible.
John Wick was sweet. Kelly says the rumor is they filmed a longer post-credit scene with her killing Yen, but the editor couldn't get it to work with the movie, so they decided to cut it the way that they did.
Interesting. I feel like she shouldn't be able to.
No way she killed Yen unless she... Yeah, exactly. The rocket thing. Exactly.
Donnie Yen was also the coolest.
We figured it out, Cody.
He was also the coolest part of the movie.
He was the coolest part of it. I mean, that's the true thesis statement, is that the coolest part of John Wick 4 is Donnie Yen.
He's just such a badass.
I remember playing D&D. Yeah, I heard D&D was also amazing. I've heard it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I've heard D&D was really good. Yeah.
So I think this actually is a good moment then, because the show's about to end, and Tay just mentioned the Patreon. So Ben and I have decided that I think at the end of this month, we will be canceling the Patreon moving forward. So, since we're already halfway through the month, I think that it would be like too complicated to go in and like, I think refund I honestly don't really know. I don't think we look at Patreon close enough at this point, and PLD was the one that ran it for us, but it just feels like with the way that our lives are and the way that our scheduling is, it feels just like wrong, even though I know that the people that are on our Patreon are people that are just supporting us.
Yeah.
And like, I can't thank them enough. Like, I don't know what I would have done in 2020 without the support that we had on Patreon. This is not us like quitting doing like anything other than just like having a Patreon. That's it. We'll still do AMA, we'll still hang out and do shows every now and then, but
I think the feeling is, with the way our lives are going and the amount of time that we have to be on a consistent schedule and give back, it's not fair to watch it just kind of dwindle down and give back less. We want to be able to do the content that we want to do when we can do it, because we want to do it, and we never want it to feel like you guys are getting shortchanged. So I think we don't really know what the future holds as far as new content and our ideas. We're always talking about things that we think are fun or are cool. But for right now, I think we want you guys to feel like you're watching and enjoying, and that that there's no friction with what we can or can't offer.
It's just all of us hanging out and talking about things that we love to talk about. So again, this isn't just like us like saying that we're not going to be doing stuff. Are we going to be doing a show next week? Are you in town?
I think I am in town next Monday.
I think I am as well. So maybe we will. Maybe we'll figure out a show or a movie to do or something to do, and we'll do a show next week. But, the other thing I was thinking was, like, if we just lowered all the tiers to, like, $1 or, like, $0. But I don't know how that works. Because that way it'd be a way to, like, be able to communicate with everyone on Patreon still without actually... So maybe there's a way to look into that to where we could, like, not have subscriptions or it's just free subscriptions on there, and then we could just still, like... make posts every now and then, because I do feel like that's at least a place where there's a large community of people that supported us and have supported us throughout the years. So it'd be nice to be able to still communicate with them, because it's like if we don't do a show, then there really isn't a way to do it other than like our Twitters. So anyway, just wanted to let you guys know, and I thought this was a super fun episode on John Wick. I love this movie. I agree with you. I don't think it needs to keep going. I don't want to see another one like this. And they wouldn't make another John Wick without it being like over 2 hours,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they would have to try to top this one. And how do you top this one? You have to introduce new stuff, and you have to make it bigger and probably longer and more epic. I feel like the fact that they were supposed to make 4 or 5 and they did it as one movie was more as to me it feels like they acknowledged that this is the big finale, and then the additional content's going to be spin-off content.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, guys, big time salute. It was great hanging out with y'all. We'll do a shout out here to our generals. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you guys next week. Let's do a shout out to all of our generals
that have ever been on it.
Ever been generals.
Ever, because maybe this is the last time we do this specific shout out. So
I'll start and we can just scroll, and maybe when I get tired, you can just take over.
Okay.
Hold on, let me look.
There's, if you go down to the former, there's several.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. To all of our generals that have served in the Action Army, call sign, big time salute. Call sign Kilmer, Quiz Show, Demon King, Public Enemy #1, Kaiju, ACP, Robin, Chimera, Moses, Galactus, Bartab, Party J, The Gray, 24601. Call sign hashtag ladies, JTB, Quentin, Brosnan, Desperado, Jerry, The Slap, The Rock, Entrapment, Top Gun, The Godfather, Doug Butabi, Steve Butabi, Neo, MacGruber. God, that's like one of the greatest ones. Call sign Coinless.
Yes.
Also one of my favorites. Hans and Franz, Ninja, Sex Wedge, Ripper. I'll let you go.
Cash, call sign Monty, Excalibur, the Gods of Rock, Caddyshack, Bloodsport, Soul Calibur, the Insider, the Architect, Breaking News, the Punisher, the Chosen One, Kano and Katana, incredible.
Wonderful.
Quailman, Stardust, Bodyguard, call sign Freedom, call sign Goat, Sunshine, Road Trip, Daywalker, The Beard, Karaoke, Wonderland, Congo, Magma, Phantom, Continental, Punk, Deja Vu, Tavington, Ladies Man, Kyle, Diehard, The Wrestler, Whiskers / Honey Badger, Outback, The Deliverer, The Olympian.
Over? Are you good?
I'm good. The Pusher, Da Vinci, White Ghost.
The White Ghost.
Call sign Officer and a Gentleman. 2 call signs there. Supersize, Upgrade, Bel Air, The Graduate, The Canadian Beauty, Killshot, Cowboy, Beauty. Bear Trap, Gundam, Stamos, Dante's Peak, Director, Thrasher, Closer, Sidewinder, Jameson, 69. And I was going to say call sign Kluber. There you go.
Yes.
That was good.
We got it.
That was a good one.
Got it. So big shout out to all of our generals. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll still be around, but a big time salute. What a list, man. What a list. What a great list. Call sign, one of the greatest things we've ever done.
Greatest things of our life.
All right. Let's get out of here. Big time salute to you guys. We love you.
Bye, guys.
It's a lot of generals.
Magma.